What really happens when a YouTuber known for saving wrecked supercars suddenly becomes the center of the story himself? Matt Armstrong built his reputation on turning automotive disasters into jaw-dropping comebacks, convincing millions that almost nothing is beyond repair. But behind the viral rebuilds and high-risk purchases, a series of unexpected moments left fans asking the same question. Is everything really as controlled as it looks? From deals that nearly went sideways to projects that pushed limits few creators would dare touch, Matt's journey took turns no one saw coming. And once the pressure started building, the outcome surprised even his most loyal viewers. Long before the supercars, the viral rebuilds, and the millions of views, Matt Armstrong was just a kid obsessed with bikes. Growing up in the UK, he poured everything into BMX, chasing progression the same way most people chase job security. Competitions, injuries, setbacks, none of it slowed him down. That relentless mindset would later become the backbone of his entire career. But at the time, no one could have predicted where it would lead. When BMX began taking a toll on his body, Matt found himself at a crossroads. Walking away from something you've built your identity around isn't easy, and for a moment, his future looked uncertain. But instead of drifting, he redirected that same hands-on energy into cars. Not flashy showroom builds, we're talking damaged, neglected vehicles most people wouldn't touch. Where others saw a financial mistake waiting to happen, Matt saw a challenge. At first, the uploads were simple. Buy a broken car, figure it out, get it running. Again, no massive production team, no dramatic persona, just raw problem-solving captured on camera. Viewers could sense it wasn't staged, and that authenticity became magnetic. Slowly, the channel gained traction, and with every successful rebuild, his confidence grew. But success has a funny way of raising the stakes, and Matt was about to learn that the bigger the project, the bigger the risk. As the channel grew, so did the expectations. What started as, "Can he fix this?" quickly turned into, "How far can he push it?" Matt didn't just lean into that pressure, he used it. Each rebuild got riskier, more expensive, and more public. Wrecked performance cars became wrecked supercars, and suddenly the margin for error wasn't a few £100s. It was life-changing money. That escalation is what hooked people. Viewers weren't just watching repairs anymore, they were watching real stakes play out in real time. One wrong decision could wipe out months of work. One missed detail could turn a dream build into a financial nightmare. And Matt showed all of it. The confidence, the doubts, the moments where things clearly weren't going to plan. But with that transparency came a new kind of pressure. Every successful rebuild raised the bar higher, and the audience started expecting miracles on demand. If a car didn't turn out perfect, comments piled up. If a project dragged on, speculation started. The channel stopped being just videos and became a performance with millions of eyes watching every move. That's when things quietly shifted. The builds were bigger, but so was the scrutiny. And once the risk moved from mechanical problems to real-world consequences, the story stopped being just about cars and started being about Matt himself. Then came the moment that made viewers sit forward, not because a car was wrecked, but because this time, Matt was the one behind it. When he revealed he had crashed his Lamborghini, the reaction was instant. Fans weren't used to seeing the guy who fixes disasters suddenly caught in one. It blurred the line between creator and content in a way no rebuild ever had. What made it hit harder was the raw honesty. There was no attempt to sugarcoat it, just the reality of how quickly things can go wrong when you're dealing with machines built for extreme performance. For many viewers, it was the first time the risks surrounding his lifestyle felt truly real. Supercars aren't just expensive toys. One split-second mistake can spiral into a situation that most people would never financially recover from. Instead of stepping back, though, Matt did what almost no one expected. He turned the setback into another rebuild story. Watching him tear down his own damaged dream car created a different kind of tension. This wasn't auction gamble money. This was personal. But the crash triggered something else too, a wave of conversation online. Some praised his transparency, while others questioned whether constantly raising the stakes was sustainable. And just as that debate started heating up, an even stranger situation was about to unfold. One that no amount of mechanical skill could easily fix. Just when it seemed like Matt had seen every type of automotive disaster imaginable, A situation unfolded that no rebuild blueprint could prepare him for. It started like many of his projects do, a performance car, a deal that looked solid, and the excitement of bringing another machine back to life. But not long after the purchase, small inconsistencies began surfacing. Numbers didn't quite match. Paperwork raised eyebrows, and the deeper he looked, the clearer it became that something wasn't right. Soon, the possibility emerged that the car wasn't what it was claimed to be. The word cloned started floating around, a nightmare scenario in the car world where a vehicle can carry the identity of another. Suddenly, this wasn't about replacing panels or rebuilding an engine. It was about whether the car could legally exist on the road at all. For viewers, the tension was completely different from a typical rebuild. You can fix mechanical failure, but you can't wrench your way out of a paperwork storm. Questions flooded in. How does something like this even happen? Could the loss be permanent? And more importantly, was this the hidden danger behind chasing bigger and riskier purchases? Matt stayed unusually calm through the chaos, documenting the process and showing just how complicated these situations can become. But if people thought that ordeal was intense, what came next would push the scale of his channel into territory almost no independent creator had touched before. By this point, Matt wasn't just rebuilding cars. He was rebuilding headlines. And then came the project that made even non-car fans stop scrolling. The wrecked Rolls-Royce once owned by football star Marcus Rashford. Buying a damaged luxury car is already a bold move. Buying one tied to a global athlete instantly multiplies the attention. The reported price alone was enough to make people blink twice, and the pressure to get it right felt heavier than ever. This wasn't the kind of vehicle you casually experiment on. Rolls-Royces are engineered to near perfection, and restoring one isn't just about making it run. It has to feel untouched, like the accident never happened. Every decision mattered, and viewers could sense the stakes were on a completely different level now. One misstep wouldn't just be expensive, it would be very public. As the rebuild unfolded, something interesting happened. The conversation around Matt started changing. He was no longer seen as just a fearless fixer of wrecks. People began viewing him as a serious player operating in a space normally reserved for elite shops. But with that credibility came sharper scrutiny. The bigger the badge on the hood, the louder the opinions became. Still, Matt delivered, proving he could handle machines most creators wouldn't dare go near. Yet while fans were still processing the scale of that rebuild, he quietly set his sights on something even more unbelievable. A project that would spark debate far beyond YouTube. Just when it felt like Matt had reached the ceiling of what a solo creator could attempt, he smashed straight through it. The next project wasn't just rare, and it lived in a category most people will never even see in person. A heavily damaged Bugatti is the kind of sight that makes seasoned car experts pause, because these machines operate under rules completely different from normal vehicles. Specialized parts, factory-level precision, and repair standards so strict that even established shops think twice before getting involved. The moment people realized what he was attempting, the internet lit up. Some viewers were thrilled, calling it the ultimate rebuild challenge. Others weren't so sure. Questions started spreading fast. Was this too big? Too complex? Was an independent creator really stepping into territory usually controlled by manufacturers? And that's when the discussion moved beyond typical comment section chatter. Industry voices, enthusiasts, and armchair experts all weighed in, debating whether a project of this magnitude should even be possible outside official channels. Suddenly, the build wasn't just entertainment, it was a statement. Yet Matt leaned into the pressure the only way he knows how, by documenting everything and pushing forward anyway. But massive attention brings massive criticism, and the louder his projects became, the more the internet began watching for cracks. What started as admiration was slowly mixing with skepticism, and the court of public opinion was just getting warmed up. With millions now watching his every move, Matt entered a phase that almost every fast-rising creator eventually faces. The internet stopped seeing him as just entertaining and started analyzing him instead. Every purchase, every timeline, every decision suddenly had a magnifying glass over it. Support was still loud, but criticism was getting louder. Some viewers began questioning whether constantly raising the stakes was sustainable. Others wondered if the pressure to outdo the last video could eventually backfire. When your brand is built on doing the impossible, people don't just celebrate your wins, they anticipate your mistakes. And in the attention economy, anticipation spreads fast. There were also whispers that success had changed the atmosphere around the channel. Not necessarily in a negative way, just different. Bigger productions, higher budgets, tighter turnarounds. That scrappy, figuring it out in a garage. Energy was evolving into something closer to a full-scale operation. For some fans, it showed growth. For others, it sparked nostalgia for the earlier days. But this is the strange trade-off of visibility. The higher you climb, the thinner the air gets. One unexpected setback, one controversial moment, or one project that doesn't land perfectly can shift public perception overnight. Still, here's what many people miss. Matt never positioned himself as flawless. He built his reputation on risk. And when risk is the foundation, controversy isn't a possibility. It's part of the territory. So what really happened to Matt Armstrong? Nothing suddenly ended in amongst historians. It evolved. What began as fixing broken cars quietly turned into navigating massive risks, public pressure, and expectations most creators never face. Each project pushed him further from being just a YouTuber and closer to becoming a headline himself. The surprises weren't the crashes, the deals, or the controversy. It was how fast the spotlight grew. And now, every move he makes isn't just content. It's a test. Whether the next chapter cements his legacy or rewrites it entirely, one thing is certain. Matt Armstrong's story is far from over.